The microphone on. The annual town budget hearing is called to order. The purpose of this meeting is to have a hearing where the Board of Finance presents the selectmen's budget to the public and listen to the public's comment. For the record, we probably should indicate that there's no one here from the public. So we will have a brief explanation for the record, and then we will adjourn and go to the regular Board of Finance meeting. There are handouts for anyone who would like one on the table where the recording secretary is. The first half of the material is the Financing Southbury presentation, which exists on the website, which explains the concept, philosophy, and processes we use. We have, so if we want to, comments on the path forward. After this meeting, the next opportunity will be for department heads to meet with the Board of Finance if any of them have any concerns about their budget. Then that is at the before. When is that going to be? Before the next board? That's tonight. So no department heads have requested to come to talk. Okay. The next iteration of this process will be the regular Board of Finance meeting in April. Then there will be a joint meeting of the Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance to adopt a formal budget and recommend it to a town meeting. Then there'll be a vote on the first Tuesday, is it, of May, the 4th or 7th, whatever that is. Tonight we're going to, a brief explanation of the expenditures as they came from the Board of Selectmen. The Board of Finance will meet at our regular meeting when this meeting is over, the hearing is over, and we will get into some revenues, mill rates, and reserve funds and other things that are not yet due. If we'll go to, say this, oh, anyone participating virtually? That's a good question. No. Okay. I guess we don't have to, so we're not, all right? Betsy, if you'll go forward, I'm going to breeze through these 2 pages of the disbursements, go all the way to the middle, way down. In the Board of Selectmen's budget, well, let me go to the end. Let's go to the end of the last of this. Let me turn this thing on, off, on. I think we have a dead battery. It works? Oh, there it does. The end result, you want to go to the bottom of this, page? The end result of this is the Board of Selectmen's budget is increased 2.5%. With the regional school budget, Southbury's portion, their budget now is at 5.95%. Our portion is at 4.56% because the ADM shifted and Middlebury has more kids they had a larger growth in kids than we did. So they're paying more because they have more kids. The overall cost to taxpayers of the entitled budget, $76 million, is an increase of 3.95%. 2.5 for local government, 4.56 for the school budget, and 3.95 overall. Let's go to the top again. We have a Board of Selectmen, increase of 9%, which is principally the labor account. Any new head counts in the board? That includes, if I remember correctly, the health insurance, and which is
health insurance we're getting I think it's a 9% increase this year.
Right.
That's the bulk of it. That's $2.1 million of this, and then the payroll tax, which is $673,000.
Which deals with the head count. Could you remind us the total new, how many full-time equivalents new in this budget?
We have a 25th police officer and a second floater, so 2 head
A second what?
Floater.
Floater in the town hall. So there are 2 new people in the budget.
Yes.
But there's also 2 part-time positions that were eliminated.
So the net effect on full-time equivalents is,
The part-time people aren't in this because they're not eligible for insurance, so.
oh, they're in a different, oh, this is just the insurance benefits line item.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. But for the head count, do the 2 part-time we're eliminating, does that equal the 1 full-time floater? About? About. So
Very close.
net on bodies, we have 1 new body in the budget. The pension is down 10%. That's because we've decided to take more money from the unassigned general fund than we had in the past. That is a purposeful use of anticipated annual surpluses. We budget conservatively. We usually have a surplus, and by this measure, we are committing ourselves to spending, using a significant part of that annual surplus from operations to fund the pensions. Next, we have in general government a 1.56% increase. There's pluses and minuses. We can go pretty reasonable. Next, we have public safety, a 6% increase. It's pretty much the police department, which is 6%, which is over half of the budget, $183,000 increase. That is probably $100,000 for the police officer after you get all the benefits and training and all that stuff in.
Uniform, armor and things like that. And then the training due to the police accountability bill is the remainder.
There's a requirement for increased training for all the police officers, if I remember correctly. Okay, let's go to the next page. We have, let's see, public health, a 5% increase. Let's see, it's Lake Liliona, whichever it is. 17% increase. Remember, that was, I can't remember what that was, the reason for that increase.
I think it was
Was
just.
it patrol?
I think it was, no, I think it was just inflationary really, John, for the running the boats and things like that.
It's an equal split among all the communities, and we're required to pay it. I remember reading it, it wasn't remarkable about what it was for.
Yeah, it's, a big part of it is mandatory body cameras.
Mandatory body cameras? Okay. Next, we have community activities, 0.7% increase. We have public works, a reduction of 0.5%, principally because of solid waste. We're now not accepting contractor solid waste, and there's just a lot less. Significant savings. Next, the total operating budget goes up 3%. Then we have capitals, vehicle replacement, our reserve funds, the infrastructure, and debt is down 11%, significantly because of the debt service. When we earmarked the items that is likely we will bond for, the total anticipated bonding was less than we had previously anticipated. So the amount of money we need to be putting into the debt service fund to take care of that stuff was significantly less. So we have a 25% reduction. Roads are up 10%. I think this is roads and bridges.
Roads and bridges, yes.
Say again?
Yep.
Roads and bridges. $1.6 million. It used to be 2.5, 2.7, 3, 4, 5 years ago. So that is the budget. Any comments from the people who aren't here? Probably not. We go to the next sheet. Boy, can you make that bigger? Well, I can't see that. And
This is the capital items, John.
This is the capital request.
Yep.
I think Jan shared that virtually all the capital requests that aren't funded this year are included in our infrastructure program. And there were one or two that the Board of Selectmen did not pass on. Is there a way
Yeah, the tabulators, the $85,000 for the elections, the Board of Selectmen didn't move that forward, or Jeff didn't move that forward, actually, because of, last time we did it, we were given a state grant, and the electors weren't even sure if it was something that we'd have to do right now, so we didn't move it forward.
So because we're not sure we have to do it, it's not going to be in the budget. If it becomes that we do have to do it, it's likely we will get a state grant, and there'll be a town meeting to make an additional appropriation. Was that the only capital item?
We did the portable messaging sign and the portable lighting. The message sign, we actually have one at Public Works, so we didn't feel it was a good thing to have to get another one. And the portable lighting, I believe we moved it to operating because it was below the threshold.
Okay. Next page. Now we can make it a little smaller. There we go. These are the reserve funds. We put away in the current year's budget 198. This calls for 208. These are the amounts, the annual contributions to each of these funds to keep us on a glide path for covering the cost of things that need to be done here as they come up over the next 10 to 20 years. Let's go back. I want to make one comment. You'll notice here two $1,000 items for the land trust and the farmland. There was a town meeting about 20 years ago, and the town meeting told us they wanted us to put 1/10 of a mill, about $230,000 a year into it. Board of Finance decided not to do that. We lowered that figure over time to, I think it was $50,000 for each of these accounts. And 3-4 years ago, we made it one when the Board of Selectmen was slow in responding to our request for a study of the 490 property. The 490 property issue has been resolved in the Plan of Conservation and Development, and it would seem that the Board of Selectmen and the First Selectman believe that there is enough money in the two reserve funds that we have for long-term land and farmland to cover what they believe will be our needs in the immediate future. Is that right, Jeff? So we don't need anything more there.
Yeah, currently, right now, John, we have $131,000 in land acquisition and $226,000 in open space.
And it's been a very long time, maybe 10 years almost, I guess?
We did purchase one piece of land, the $240,000, which was the 40 acres on South Britton Road last year.
Yes, and before that, it was
That's, yeah.
a long time.
Yep.
Okay. Let's go to the next page. This is the list of revenues. Dan has scrubbed each one of these accounts to determine, whoops, someone's selling us something? How much money we can get from various revenues. You'll notice here that the surplus drawdown last year was $684. This year it's scheduled for $1.1 million. And we'll get to that into our meeting. A significant increase in how much money we're taking from our unassigned general fund. We're also anticipating $650,000 from the medical reserve. This, we had originally thought we'd get 300, but now that it's all closed out, we'll be getting 650. The transfer, well, we can go each one of these things, but Dan has looked at the town clerk, the state programs, the recreation fees, and the two interest accounts and fees and permits, looked at the trends with the department heads. of what the trends are likely to be, what the fee structure is. I think we have the same fee structure for all this stuff,
Pretty much, yeah.
unless the state changed
Nope.
some of them, but I don't think that would be significant. We have, let's see, interest on investments. We've got that at, it was $76,000 2 years ago, and it's now, or 1 year ago, and now it's $900,000 based on the stiff rates. And also the interest on the IPOC fund. We had a 3-year smoothing of the significant gain we got last year when we made a lot of money in that. And we decided not to take it all. Good thing, because we didn't have the same kind of increases this past year, and we're not anticipating the same kind of increases next year based on the asset allocation. So we're going to be taking about the same amount of money. Dan has a spreadsheet on that. So we have all these miscellaneous revenues. We have the state ECS grant, which is significantly increased from $4.9 million to $6.4 million. That's what, $1.5 million, Dan?
Yep.
We're still underfunded as relative to other towns getting a proportionate share of the state pool, but we're starting to get a little more. And the difference between the ECS grant, our own miscellaneous items, and what we need to collect is what we collect in taxes. So, next page. Now, these are required disclosures according to the charter. This is the town balance sheet, which has all our reserve funds, our capital project funds. Let's keep going. And last but not least, we have the, what do we call it, administrative services budget? What's it called, the administrative special?
It's the special revenue funds,
The
John.
special revenue funds. The charter requires that money that comes in for the benefit of these organizations that the taxpayers don't fund, if that money goes into a fund that the town holds for each one of these organizations, there needs to be an appropriation from those funds to spend. It's a technical matter. I think this one's a little low. 19,000, I think it should be about 150, Dan. You want to check on that?
I will, John.
Please.
I'll check on it, yep.
And then the next page is this is a paragraph that talks about each one of those funds, what it was created for, and what is the authorizing entity and how they go about determining how that money is to be spent. And then last, we've got the resolution. Shall the town appropriate, and this is pro forma. That amount of money hasn't been finalized yet, but that is the form of it. Let's see, yeah, the municipal budget certainly isn't, no, it is about 22 million, right?
Yep.
As it is today.
Today.
Okay. And then they're just words on the special revenue funds appropriation that we just talked about. So I think that is it on the presentation. Any questions from the public? Hearing none.
I have one.
Yeah, okay, John?
Just to Dan. Dan, are we still following the process we've used for a long time of trying to use all of the LoCIP funding that we are entitled to?
Yeah, we go to the state and we've gotten all of our LoCIP now. This year, we applied for 2 projects. We haven't gotten approved yet, but it usually gets approved once the governor approves his budget, and then we get reimbursed right at that. No, the only account that is kind of building up is the town clerk LoCIP fund, but that's a very specific targeted account that they have to very specifically spend that. And we're doing a couple of projects this year to draw it down. We're digitizing a lot of the files, and we're using those funds to do that.
As a refresher for our new members, the state has a local capital improvement fund, because most towns don't have money to improve their roads and buy their equipment. And every town gets money from that. And in order for us to get the money, we have to have a specific project. And when we apply, when we have our project outlined, we send paperwork to the state and they send us the money. This board has decided that while that is an administrative process the state requires us to use, which we will follow, that is not the process we will follow when we decide what needs to be done in this town. We're going to plan through a budget and reserve fund process what needs to be done. If the state gives us LoCIP grants, we will take a specific project that meets their requirement and match it so that we'll get the state money. If the state reduces our LoCIP money, which, if they do it, that's not going to affect whether we do our work. The items that need to be done are going to be done in accordance with the town budget. What'll happen is we anticipate a revenue item called LoCIP. And it might come to pass that if the state reneges and doesn't send us the money, well, we're going to be short on revenues. But we're not going to short ourselves on the work that needs to be done, or a capital item that we would normally spend the money for. So that's a lot of unique things in a lot of these line items. And John, any other questions for anybody about the public hearing part? Mr. Hill?
Just a quick question. Do we have Pomperog Water Outfit, the nonprofit, in the budget? Was it just $100?
No, they're under, they're $40,000, Dick. They're under,
Selectmen's,
no, they're actually under public health. They're called environmental. So it's environmental. If you go up to the budget,
Okay,
that's equal to one more up, a little bit more. So where it says environmental,
where's
right
that?
there, right below health district. John, if you go down, all the way to the bottom of the page, right there, that's the Pomperog Health District.
Okay. The reason we were asking, they've put in for some of the ARP money, so we thought they were already covered in the budget. Thank you.
Okay, if there are no other comments, at 6:25, the public hearing is closed. The Board of Finance will now convene its regular monthly meeting.